Hi there. My name is Charles Ray Dawson. I'm an associate broker, residential sales manager of ProStar Realty. This is the Unnamed Real Estate Podcast, episode 175. I hope you guys are all having a really good week. Hey, it's real estating, baby. We're real estating. So if let's just hit this and quit this, because it is 3:00 already, and I just got off of 3:15. I just got off of a Zoom call with somebody who wants my money. So that's always a lot of fun, taking a lot of notes. So was not expecting this Zoom call. It was just one of those I got voluntold. Yeah, I'm getting that an awful lot lately. I need to start learning to say that word that means I don't intend to do, or I don't want to do something negative, something with an N in it. I gotta learn that word. So I've got a dictionary around here somewhere. So otherwise, so let's couple interesting things going on in the news. Let's start with national and work our way to local. All right. National is we do have an MLS that has decided that the Department of Justice can go pound sand, and they are stepping out of any settlement, and they're willing to go to court. This is not NAR itself. It's a small local MLS. But their argument is that the Department of Justice's case is against the First Amendment and is also against a whole bunch of other stuff. So they look like they're stepping up, all right? And we'll keep tracking that conversation to see how that works out for them. The also what happened on national is that we had a meeting of the feds, right? And it's interesting because they met on Wednesday, and on Wednesday the conversation was, or actually on Tuesday, inflation numbers came down a little bit lower than was projected, which is always something that really gets the market going. You know, everybody anticipates what it's going to be, and then they bet the line, and then the number comes in a little bit higher or lower than what they were expecting, and then pay your bets, guys. So inflation rates actually did come down. So people were feeling really good going into the Fed meeting on Wednesday, going, hey, we might see our rate drop that we've been asking for all freaking year. And, of course, the Fed comes back with, well, we need a little bit more information, and we're not sure. These are positive numbers, and we're looking forward, but we just need more data. And then the next day, more data showed up. Now, I don't know who schedules this, the timing of this stuff, but in my mind, if I have 3 data points that I'm looking at when I want to make a decision, all right, I just schedule the actual decision making after I have all 3 data points in. I don't sit there and wait for, halfway through going, oh, not enough. But hey, it's the government. What you going to do about them? So the next thing that came is that the jobless claims did go up. These numbers came out on Thursday, the day afterwards, more than expected, which is also one of those signals that the Fed uses when it's time to start lowering rates. That indicates that the economy is slowing or contracting. And the other thing that they saw was that wholesale prices were going down. That's a wholesale prices for goods out there. And so that's another sign of a reducing, slowing economy. So are these 3 information enough that their next meeting, which I don't know when that's going to be, is going to be enough to kick it over? We'll see. Next question is this enough to get the lenders out there starting to drop the rates anyways, anticipating that later on? Is that information strong enough for them to try to get in front of the power curve on that? That would be a call to my lender, but my lender that I called today hasn't returned my phone calls because he knows I want to have a talk with him. So we'll see what's going on with that. So that's the first bit of the information that we have coming in. A couple other information that I was looking at here in the state side, okay, and this is for Arizona, is that our inventory for rentals have gone up pretty well. And I was looking at numbers like in the teens year over year. So we have more rentals out there for availability. Remember, we have a lot of new apartment complexes that have been built. This adds to inventory. And that's probably the reason why rental rates have not really changed over the last 2 years. This starts getting into that, is it cheaper to rent than to own? Been having this conversation since pretty much like episode 2 or something like that. And we're at 175 right now. But with, at a certain point, it does make more sense to rent. So not long term, but short term, right? So this is going to have a downward pressure on house sales on top of these rates, all right? So everything else seems to be that On the buy-sell side, we're definitely in a buyer's a balanced market right now. And we haven't had one of these for quite some time. Let's hit the numbers real quick and we'll bounce back off of that. All right, so we're looking at the numbers for June 12th. These are the ones that I ran yesterday. All right, 2024. Actives this week were 17,729. That's up 127 from last week, with new listings at 2,123, up 12. Our contracts almost stayed the same at 2,315, a change of up 8. Closings last week were 1,444, and coming soon to an MLS near you is 858. So pretty much standing pat across the board. Now supply did tick up just a little bit. We're at 74.4. Demand went down just a little bit to 78.0, and that gives us a comfort report number of 104.8. Now the big change that I saw was over here on when we start talking about the cities and areas. Right, there's Chandler still coming down. There's Fountain Hills still going up. Not, we'll see if those two pass each other up here coming shortly. But Avondale, Tempe, and Mesa line up the top end of the market, strong sellers market, even though 3 of those 5 are actually declining. Then we go to a big long stretch of red all the way down until where we're looking at Goodyear. Now notice here, down here at Goodyear, they only dropped down 1%, but that 94.4 still puts them into what's considered a balanced market. Same with Cave Creek is a balanced market. Those are our 2 balanced markets. Peoria, Paradise Valley, Scottsdale on up, still considered a seller's market. Right, and so when those people out there who are looking for deals need to be looking at Surprise, Queen Creek, Maricopa, and there's Buckeye. Keep working his way. What Buckeye's going to do. So, not a lot of winners, a whole bunch of losers going on. And what's driving most of this? Affordability and interest rates. So, when you purchase a house, you have a lot of upfront costs. Okay, you have a down payment. You have closing costs, you have inspection, you have appraisal, that kind of stuff. One of the best deals out there, if you were able to take advantage of this, is the VA loan. And we got some really great news this week that the Veterans Administration has decided to take and allow the veteran to pay for a real estate agent to represent them and negotiate them in the transaction. Remember I was talking about that a couple of weeks ago? Well, VA did what they needed to do. They literally just fired out another memo going, yeah, that's okay. Right. Took them a couple months, right? But yeah, that's okay. So now a veteran can sit there, and if they are in a situation where they want to use a real estate agent and the sellers in that particular market are not offering anything to the buyer as an incentive on helping, them pay for their own agent. All right, before the VA would not allow any money on the HUD-1 to be seen going to certain entities. All right, and this was one of them. All right, also entity you couldn't pay off was the termite inspection or termite treatment inspection. It was an inspection for the longest time. You accepted a VA offer. You as the seller knew you were going to be paying for your termites. All right. Like I said, I don't know what government bureaucrat thought that was a good idea and decided to write that up. It's just one of the conditions of the loan. But what does despite all that, what does a VA loan do for you? 0 down. Right. So that doesn't mean you're not spending money. All right. But it means that you're getting a 0 down loans. So like with an FHA, you have to come up with 3.5% on FHA, which let's say a $400,000 house, that's $12,000 plus the 2, about $14,000 you need to come up with as your down payment. With a VA, 0. There are a lot of origination fees and some other issues along the lines. It is all wrapped up in the loan. So when you do a VA loan, you will see something along the lines of purchase price of $255, loan amount $230 or $260. There's always this. It's always more, right? And it's because of that, right? The other thing is because it's government funded loan, or it's a backed loan. It is usually and currently in this market right now at a lower interest rate than you would get out on the streets going with a conventional loan. Other thing that people don't know about VA loans is that you could still put money down. Right. So if you have 20% to put down on a house and you want to use your VA loan, well, Bob's your uncle. Now you're really getting it going because now you get the lower interest rate for what you have left. Right. And you have that equity that you have stored in your house with your down payment. All right. Now, a lot of people think you can only use a VA loan once, and that's no longer correct. You can use it as many times as long as the government, that loan gets paid off. And you can also use them twice if for some reason you had one still floating around out there. See your lender for more details on that, because I'm a little fuzzy on how that works for everybody. How do you get a VA loan? Well, you need to have served in the military. Now, that's a little late for some of you, right? Although I did hear, I still think the Army's taking people in certain jobs like up into the 50s, right? So it's hope for some of you guys yet. I did get to shut a nurse down the other day. Oh, yeah, I would have served in the military, blah, blah. I'm too old. I'm like, how old are you? I'm 42. And it's like, okay, you're 42. But you're a nurse. Yeah, well, I could get you in right now. Let's go for a drive. Take you down to the recruiting office. Give you a rum drink, and next thing you know, you're on a slow boat to Singapore. That generally is how you qualify for a VA loan. Now, if you're a dependent of a serviceman who died overseas, I think you also qualify on that. That's also something you want to talk to your lender about. And I almost said it, so I'll say it now. Your VA lender. Right? That does not mean you call the Department of Veterans Affairs, but I do strongly encourage you. Pretty much every lender out there can do a VA loan, but there's not a lot of veteran lenders who truly understand the VA loan. All right. Another good loan out there for you guys, if you can find, is a USDA loan. That's also a 0% down. That is more rural agricultural areas. There's a couple websites you need to go to. Is this property in a USDA? That's another program. Then, of course, we always have the FHA. And ultimately, we have mom and dad if you really have to borrow a lot of money, and mom and dad are loaded and they have that kind of money. But that's an idea. So a couple other things that I'm seeing down here this week is, oh, my God, we're all talking wraps and seller carrybacks and subject tos and all these other things. Now, I really hate seeing a 2% mortgage get paid off in closing. I really, really do. I'd like the banks to choke on that loan. I'd love any way to keep that loan going for 30 years. All right. But sometimes you need out of the house. Right. But these wraps, these subject tos, these other ones put the seller at there's so much exposure there. There's so much things that can happen bad to you, right? If somebody approaches you and, hey, can I buy your house subject to? You tell them, hell no. And if you really needed to sell that house, you're calling me. We'll have more of a conversation about that. So last thing I wanted to wrap up is, going to make this one really short today. I wanted to wrap up is Twitter told me a couple days ago, emergency services had just fished a kid out of the pool. So we all know what I say here. All right. I don't know whether or not the child deceased or not. It was still one of those action news, breaking. So I'm not sure how that story got up, but it is definitely that season. All right. Another thing, let's keep working our circles, boys and girls. All right. And you guys have a really good weekend. Got a couple parties and stuff set up. So see you guys all next week.